Hello, my voracious little vermin! Hello, hello, welcome to the stream! I don't know why, after watching another amazing Digital Circus episode, it's got me wanting to address people in a very, just whimsical manner. Hello, hello, everyone! Hi! As a matter of fact, hello. You want to see me? Look, it's me! Hi! I'm here! Wow, this is a yellow water bottle, by the way. But the way my color is, it looks like straight up chartreuse up in here. But that's all good. Small victory today. I was picking up some medication, and it was new medication. So, as you know, when you go to a pharmacy in a CVS or something, you have to, show them all the insurance information, make sure you have all the little codes that I still don't understand what they are, and I probably should, since I'm a working adult. So the process took a lot longer than I thought it would, but at the very least I had all the codes this time, and I specifically got a text message saying, hey, so this should cost about $33 at most. If it doesn't, genuinely, you have the right to kill someone. No, it didn't actually say that, but it said something like that, where it said, this is the price it should be based off of your insurance. And I'm like, thank you. Good thing I have a sense of what it should be. And then I showed them the numbers, and then they got back to me, and instead of 33 something, it ended up being, how much was it? 26 something, which I consider a win, even though the medication is necessary for my health. Anyway, hello everyone, hello. So, we are dog sitting a little bit, just because sometimes my housing situation gets in a, sometimes there's a dog around. So there is a lovely, chocolate lab-esque dog in the house. So, it's been nice taking her for walks, petting her, etc. I think I put pictures in the pet therapy channel before. I may put in just one more before she goes, because we only have her for the week. But, man, what the hell happened in Power Rangers? Is this recent, Clover? I mean, speaking of shit, I just have no context for what you're talking about. Anyway, hello everyone. The most important thing that's happened in my life recently is that episode 8 of Amazing Digital Circus, and I have thoughts on it, but in a way that it's harder to critique it because there are so many elements that are good. And not to be the kind of person who's I will only talk about the things I don't like. But it's easier to verbalize your thoughts when the flaws are so obvious. That's why I can talk about a certain fuck show all day and all night. But when it comes to a show in which I would say its flaws are certain focuses on certain characters, as well as a certain lack of focus on others, exploration of characters and whatnot, as well as maybe clunky dialogue. I feel like I need to watch something that has genuinely good dialogue, maybe something that isn't animated. I think that'll help, because the way I'll watch and read certain things, I'll be like, man, the way this is written as the characters are speaking, it doesn't seem like they would realistically talk like that. But also, I want to be sympathetic because realistic, quote-unquote, realism in dialogue that is real to the character and the situation and the circumstances, but it also strikes the balance of, okay, but we want to convey this to the audience who can be a little stupid. So it's a weird balance, It's kind of like how in video games, gameplay is a mixture of wanting the player to feel like they succeeded and giving them that rush and that dopamine, but also knowing that it's going to take a little bit of bright yellow paint to get some people somewhere. So there's some leeway you gotta give them, And I like that I'm gonna say like a very non-spoilery vague like thoughts on the episode just because it's lingered in my head because it came out yesterday. I love moments that are just purely visual and have no audio. No, I mean, it has audio, but it has no dialogue or captions or text or labels or anything. It's just an abstract It's an abstract representation of a sequence of events, and it may not make sense in the moment, but then when you try to tie together things that happen after that, as well as things that have happened, you can piece together what they're trying to say. And there's something really interesting, specifically because I am someone who creates. I am the there's an Instagram Shorts video that's also perhaps a TikTok where it's just someone just saying that I wanted her to make something, and it's a girl in the kitchen going, I am the cooker, I am the chef, I make the food, I am the cooker. And it's not quite a vocal stem, but the way she says it is it's amazing. And when I say like I am the creator, it means that I have also been through my own creative processes, and I can definitely empathize with, again, the dialogue thing, but also with when you are the creator, or if you're basically privy to what every symbol means and what you're building up to in the themes and whatnot, it can definitely be hard to gauge how the layman can understand things, and then how moving forward how subtle you should be, if that makes sense. Because, like, me, I basically know everything that is to know about my thing, and so because I am the knower, I know there are certain things that aren't spelled out, but I feel like I look at it and I'm like, did I make it too obvious? Like, I feel like I made it pretty obvious. Like, I almost made it too obvious. Like, I don't want to, like, make my audience think they're stupid. But then, like, I'll see, like, little theories and I'll be like, oh, this is, like, they haven't even considered that. Like, it's something that, being someone with my own project, with little things there, it definitely puts into perspective how much, when I'm in the fandom and I'm seeing the theory crafting and I'm seeing what comes out, and even though, like, we're like, oh, everything's so uncertain, and even the little hints may not even be hints, and you feel like you're going crazy because it feels all so conspiratorial. But from the creator's perspective, it truly is just like, everything is just, yeah, that could be a hint, but, like, that's a hint, like, that's a reference, that's nothing. Yeah, it's very cut and dry when you're coming from the perspective of the creator, so I can understand not having that, like, hindsight of, like, oh, this should be subtle, or this should be more obvious, you know? I was in manga class yesterday. My manga concept got ripped to shreds. I'm sorry to hear that, Capita. I'm sorry. Hi, Sing. Hi, XYV. Hello, everyone, as well. Just so no one feels left out. Hello, welcome to the ocean. Oh my gosh, Clover, are you the pink frillish? Jellyfish? I forget what the exact... I mean, it's like Gen 5, so I don't know all of them. But it's the pink one. Yay. Anyway, Jellicent. There we go. Why is it called Jellicent? Is it because it's, like, magnificent? Is that the pun? Because I feel like there are some Pokemon puns that, when you think of it as a Pokemon name, yes, it rolls off the tongue, but also, why is it that, when you think about it? She said I should take out the fantasy elements and I should make the characters more competent? Huh. Interesting. Well, from what I can see, it doesn't sound like to me that she was ripping it apart. It sounds like, I don't know. I mean, if you're really banking on the fantasy elements and her response is just take that shit out, I know how much that could hurt. But I would say the universal thing about being a creative person is that you're going to go through life having your shit torn apart by people who technically have more experience and skill than you. And as an artist, the best thing you can do is just pick your head off the floor and learn from it. Take what you need from that experience. Translucent or magnificent? Agelicent. Yes. Anyway, so last time we were here, I worked on a drawing, and I was like, oh, I couldn't finish this. I'll totally finish this in the next couple days. Turns out I didn't have time in the next couple days, so we're doing this now. We're finishing this now. It shouldn't take too long. I am not jinxing myself by saying this, but we can go ahead and get started on it, because it's definitely very close to being done. At the very least, the lines and the colors and whatnot. I did patch up the colors a little bit, by the way. Previously, the colors were more closer to her usual color scheme, but this time I wanted to mute it up a little bit because I think it fits the gray that the reference picture is. There's something about, like, when I'm using a reference like this, making sure that, okay, so there was a specific part that just felt off when looking back at it. I think I know what it is. It's that when I look at this reference, this arm is like, it's not heavy enough. It needs to drag a bit more. Like this much. There we go. Knights can see into each other's hearts when they clash blades with a worthy opponent. You're saying it's probably too cheesy, but I'm not gonna lie. If you're in a manga class, then, you know, the bar is going to be in a different place, is all I'm trying to say. And a lot of, like, good anime concepts are inherently cheesy. So, I think it's just kind of about how you sell it and how you execute it, you know? I think of the post about the art teacher who hated maximalists' works, but one of their students loved it. Yeah. Yes. If you know me for anything, I hope I come across as someone who is very pro, you know, criticism and critical thinking and, you know, and all that. I would hope that no one comes away from my stream saying, I'm glad Sangle taught me that I should never listen to anything that makes me uncomfortable. Ever. Oh, that was tonally off key. Alright. Okay, so the difference between this face and this face is that this face is looking up ever so slightly, but otherwise, yes. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes after watching or experiencing some really high production thing, there's nothing that gets me more in the mood to work on my own thing. Like, I started writing some script stuff for the first time in a while. That's the good stuff. Did you actually not hear the news? Clover, you're gonna have to clarify what exactly do you mean by the news? Because I feel like a lot of the things you're saying sounds like things that happen in, like, an episode of a show. So I don't know how much I should take as, like, this is a thing that happened in real life and has historical precedence. Oh yeah, I heard of Chuck Norris dying. Yeah. Dude, I grew up in the era in that Chuck Norris was the big... Oh man... You know the meme that's like in Soviet Russia, I don't know, Bear Grylls you or whatever the fuck? Chuck Norris was kind of the human epitome of that. In that he was so masculine and badass, he could defy everything. Which led to one of my favorite kinds of memes. Chuck Norris, top and bottom text memes, but with only the top showing and the bottom cropped out. So it'll just say things like, Chuck Norris goes to Applebee's, and then nothing else. I think that's beautiful. I'm not gonna lie, in my head, I kind of confused him with Arnold Schwarzenegger a little bit, and I was like, wait, was he that, like, badass movie star, but also, like, a super conservative who ran for governor? And I was like, no, wait, that was the other guy. But, yeah, I think he's still, like, a conservative, which, unfortunately, comes with the territory of being a very, hyper-masculine movie star. So, you know. I mean, like, ripped to, like, a piece of culture, definitely. Sometimes when, famous people die, if anything, it just reminds me that, oh yeah, the people who I know at all, at any point in my life, for being, you know, people, if they're not my age, I'm probably gonna see them pass in my lifetime, which is kind of a sad thing, but also it's like one of those sobering reality moments, where it's like, oh yeah, this is gonna happen. At least it didn't happen to, like, a person I particularly like. That's all you can hope for. I think a lot of the criticisms might not have been necessarily due to ideas, but my writing skills not being able to convey them. Yeah, I understand that. See, here's the thing, Capita. Here's the positive way of spinning that. If it's just your writing skills, guess what? You can work on that. Someone whose ideas are shit, that's a lot harder to improve, personally. But coming up with a better way to execute them, that's a skill that is much, much easier. You know? Arnold is way less conservative than Norris was. I love that you're on first name terms with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but not with Chuck Norris. There's a story there, I think. Power scale conservatism? I mean, power scale is an interesting word that has just entered modern day lexicon, for better or for worse, because it's kind of appropriate in most situations of just comparing anything, and it's also just kind of funny. So I welcome it, honestly. I also did hear that the... what is this freaking name? So I listened to NPR on my way home, and so I think a previous FBI director, like one who was particularly vocal about, getting Trump, you know, actually legally scrutinized, even though that didn't fucking happen because blah blah blah, sitting president can't be accused of the January 6th insurrection, blah 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 blah. Anyway, the point is, he seemed, from what I heard, decent. That's also as someone who passed. And that's all I'll say spoiler-wise. Because I know someone from another piece of media who passed, but I shan't spoil it. That would be a bad thing to do. Robert Miller. For some reason, seeing it, like, spelled out fucks up my pronunciation. But yeah, his name is Robert Mueller. Yeah. The Mueller files. The investigations. Yes. Good lord. Actually, no, we don't need that. She's better than that. Maybe I'll lower this hairline a little bit. Just the tiniest bit. To show that her hair... her head, I mean, is bent down enough that her forehead line should be lower. I think that should be good for the lines. Feels good. I may try to proceed as normal. Yes, in fact I will. Isn't his name called the Mueller? I think, yeah, it is technically. I think you're correct. I think Robert Mueller, the Robert Mueller. I feel like I haven't heard his name in a hot second, so I'm confused. I feel like a lot of this is the case for most words, but my main reference for how to say it, funnily enough, comes from just how I hear people say it. So if no one says that word in particular, I will just lose all reference for how to say it. Hey guys, this is really random, but if I was ever a furry person, what animal do you think I would be? There is a couple of correct answers, because I have in fact drawn myself as furry-esque animals exactly once, and that was in my Draw in 40 Art Styles challenge, because I just picked animals that I like. But if you could classify me, just knowing me, I'm curious what you guys would think. Because the animals that I like aren't necessarily animals that would fit me per se. They just fit my interests. Red panda! Ooh, specifically a red panda is interesting. Red panda does give off like panda, except kind of a gremlin. So if that's what you're going for, I can respect it, I think. Also, red pandas are cute. Ugh. I love animals. See, the hardest thing about choosing, I guess we were talking about fur, so it's implicitly warm-blooded, but I think choosing a cold-blooded reptilian/amphibian animal would be tough for me, because I feel like I naturally lean towards more warm-blooded guys, though I do have all the love for the cold-blooded guys, though. Absolutely. There are some pictures of snakes I've seen that truly just melt my heart. But they aren't particularly high on my roster, I would say. There's just something about something nice and fluffy. Unless they were a fish creature of some kind. This is the exception. If it was cold-blooded because they were a fish creature, then yes. Like, technically seals are, like, mammal aquatic creatures. There are a couple of aquatic creatures I really like, but mostly because they're the warm-blooded ones, so perhaps there is a bias there. But regardless. Man, I love seals, bro. Oh. I haven't seen a good... And I've seen a couple good sea lion videos, too. I feel like sea lions you see less of because they aren't as round and nature's marketable plushie sized, but they do have a wonderful shape to them, I think. Maybe like an aquatic mammal because of the ocean, like a dolphin. Dude, an otter. Oh, I love otters. Ah, I'm just thinking about it. Otters are so cute. Oh my goodness. Don't get me started on how beautiful otters are. Because they literally have, like, this is off the dome, by the way. This is all I can remember. Otters, like, they look like... And they're holding a little shell, and they're just like paw. And wait, what the fuck do otter tails look like? Because I'm thinking of beavers when they have the big flappy tail. Do otters have like a... Otters have the tail like this, right? They have like kind of a beavery tail, right? Am I stupid? What kind of tails... What do otters look like? I'm a fake fan. The way I will long and rat-like? Like this? This doesn't seem right. But, oh my god, I love it. I love otters. It's a good thing I made at least one Spectre who is otter themed. Otherwise, I may go mad. A cattail but shorter. Like if a beaver tail and a rat tail fused. Interesting. Interesting. But yes, thank you for suggesting otters because they are beautiful creatures. I would love to be compared to them. Just magnificent creatures. You know those memes that are like, let's swim with mama, or let's be statues like mama? I don't know. That's not an example I've seen, but I'm just thinking off the dome. But they're just... When I think of otters, I think of those memes a little bit. Maybe I've been... Listen, I visited my family on Christmas, and trust me, I've done plenty of just, you know, annoying my mom and making it so we get all of our, you know, all of our affection out before, you know, next time we visit. But sometimes I be just going about my day and I'm like, I want to hug my mom. And maybe it's like, it's just a general feeling of wanting physical affection towards someone that you know for certain will return that affection. And you know, there's something about it. What animal do you think it is an industry plant? See, Capita, I understand that capybaras may sound like an industry plant. I definitely think that if they literally make it into the industry, then correct, they only made it because of the cultural hype. I would say the interest in capybaras on the internet as like a meme, that feels real. That doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like the industry implanted that animal into the public consciousness in order to profit off of that. It feels like it happened genuinely, and then afterwards, corporations wanted to profit off of that. I feel like that happened with a lot of animals, like, you know, obviously dogs and cats, but also maybe frogs, penguins. Red pandas are definitely one of those, like, kind of Asian-y animals that grew a little bit. An animal that is... I don't know. I can't really think of many that are that I can definitively say are like, you wouldn't like this animal until it was shoved into your face by someone who wants to sell it to you. Like, I feel like that hasn't exactly been done before, because all animals are beautiful. That's what I want to say. No, but you are right, though. Capybaras, at this point in time, they do have an energy of, like, you know, oh, you're so special for liking capybaras. They're so quirky and awkward. Oh, man. But also, like, no hate to capybaras. They truly are doing their own thing. You know what's a genuine industry plant? I'm pretty sure it's gotta be the bald eagle, right? Because, listen, no hate to the bald eagle. There is no bird in the world that I will stand up and say, fuck that bird. But it's gotta be one of the most, like, American-ass... I feel like bald eagles and maybe lions, too, in that they are so marketed as a specific kind of creature, when in reality they are, like, definitely not that, you know? Like, lions being like, oh man, they do big roars, and they, you know, they're dominant and cool. I think wolves kinda, but, you know, wolves are actually cool, so no hate against wolves. But, like, when you hear lions in real life, or when you hear, like, an eagle, like, scream, and they're just kind of, like, underwhelming, I feel like that's the moment you're like, okay, like, something was sold to me about this animal that is not true. If there is such thing as a cultural industry plant, I would say the bald eagle definitely qualifies in that regard. Again, no hate to the bald eagle. I'm actually not sure of their conservation status. I feel like they were, like, a little bit in the threatened category. But, yeah. Only love. Only love to all animals. And most animals. I can't say that I'm an advocate of all animals. Because there's bound to be one or two that I'm like, yeah, fuck them. Even though, like, I'll say that, and I'll be like, I don't mean, you know, take them out of the ecosystem. I know that animals are important, they all have their natural role, and that works out, but, you know. I will say that about mosquitoes, though. You know, like, yes, you can say wasps are valuable because they are predator insects, and they pollinate, and etc, etc. Mosquitoes are one of those animals that, like, man, just... Bro, they do so much more damage than they do, good. Get him out of here! Get him out of here! That's all I'm saying. The screech came from a hawk? I can't believe that bird noise went from a hawk to an eagle. Just letting that one sink in a little bit. Anyway, yeah, I know that even like ants and flies, at the very least, even though we see them as pests, as scavengers, we, at the very least, you know, they're eating our doo-doo, which is pretty good for us, I would say. Yes, we can go, you know, ew, flies and like all that, but yeah, but they're kind of eating our doo-doo, and if they weren't around, it would just be sitting there being gross. So listen, there is some purpose there. But mosquitoes don't even do that. They truly are just the bums of the world, and I'm sure there is some biologist out there who will wiggle their finger in my face and go, I'm actually saying there's a very important ecological reason why mosquitoes should continue to exist. And I'm like, yes. But, like, is it worth it? I'm not sure. I love the sound font that's just, whoo! What instrument is that even? Is it just like a whoop? It can't be an instrument. It has to be some kind of sound font that resembles a human voice doing a something. It's the red-tailed hawk. That's where the iconic bald eagle screech comes from. It's the caw, you know? Classic. And I feel like the lion roar, like the that, I think that comes from a mixture of like different big cat noises, but definitely not the lion by itself. That might have been taken from a tiger? Wait, so what you're saying is, when it comes to the big cat family, Asian big cats stay winning. I see. I see. I see. Not to like pit continents against each other, but I'm not gonna lie. The animal of my country, I guess my other country, Korea, is the tiger. And you may think like, oh man, tigers are so overrated. Everyone wants a tiger pet. Read, you know, Tiger King documentary and that big phase, which is really unfortunate. Like, please don't domesticate wild animals truly just for the showing off purpose of it. Like, it just breaks my heart. But also, like, tigers are kind of epic and awesome. They are, I would say, I mean, overhyped when it comes to having them as a thing that you own, but in general, I would say they're evenly matched when it comes to the potential that they serve up. Because tigers are awesome. Get it twisted. Potential animal? No! Not the potential, like, power scaling meme, except it's for an animal, like an entire animal. That'd be heartbreaking. That meme that's like, what does he even do? And it's just a tiger. No, no. When they're slandering your goat, no. It was originally from a lion. It was just edited a lot and overlaid with other lion sounds. Man. So like different lion sounds of them just going ah repeatedly. I'm assuming. Hold on, there's a very special clip. The screech came from a hawk? I can't believe that bird noise went from a hawk to an eagle. Just letting that one sink in a little bit. Thank you, Clover. I would pin it, but I'm like the thing about making my own clips and pinning my own messages is that it feels a little bit like wanking myself off. So I only do it in very special circumstances. So I'll leave that be. But thank you, Clover. Just a million more years of evolutions. I feel like horses are may feel like an industry plant animal when it comes to like, a certain Uma Musume game, but I think horses are kind of as well as My Little Pony maybe a little bit and its popularity, but I feel like horses are one of those animals that both have their own dedicated sub category of fandom, which is like cowboys, horse girls, country people, etc., but are also like I would say reviled because they're kind of just freaky looking animals. So it's kind of an interesting mixture of both. Horses are an interesting contender in this discussion. Ooh. Again, this is an industry. I feel like we're losing the plot when it comes to the term industry plant, because industry plant means that this is a thing that did not deserve its valor, and while other things earned merit on their, earned on its own merits, this thing was like either a nepo baby or an outside influence forced it. So I feel like we have to keep that definition in mind when we use the term industry plant. But I will say that alongside the capybara, I think axolotls are definitely in a similar realm of kind of a funky looking animal that kind of blew up a little bit culturally because it's so esoteric and funky, and now it's like, whoa, how quirky, you know? No hate to them again, but it's just one of those animals I associate with like, whoa, if that's your favorite animal, you must be so like unique. Oh my god, you're not like them. You're different. Alright, I'm done. I'm gonna go ahead and color this because I'm sick of looking at it. Actually, before we do that, let me make sure that the eyelashes are proper because they're kind of all over the place. Yes, I think I was doing the funky sketch style. Actually, let's do it so that the eyelashes go down here like this. I think that'd be nice to show the depth a little bit. Man, have you guys seen Absolute Batman's been a thing for a while, but I keep seeing little bits and pieces of like, oh, this is the design for this character in Absolute Batman, and it's kind of, it's very horror, like intense horror coded, I would say, when it comes to the style. And recently, the Absolute versions of the Penguin and Two-Face came out. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not just because I am a sucker for men with long hair and a snazzy suit, but that also is part of it. But the Two-Face gimmick with the long white Sephiroth-esque hair is kind of peak, not gonna lie. There you go, that's good. lore drops 4 pages of Absolute Batman. Like, I don't know how Absolute Batman works. I assume it's basically just, you know how a lot of comics converge with fandom when it comes to the obscene number of AUs? Like, when you think about it, Absolute Batman is absolutely just an AU. So, you know, keep that in mind. But also, I feel like I've seen AUs like that before, where it's just like, not eldritch horror, but very much like an intense, like, grotesque version of what it typically is. I don't know what to call it, but I understand why it's called, like, absolute, because it's a very, like, it's a big extreme push, stylistically. I'm waiting for Absolute Flash? Oh my gosh. Me when I turn on my flashlight all the way. You know what? That was kind of... Anyway, moving on. But yeah, those designs are really cool, and I especially liked that the Penguin's design is him using like braces. They could be called crutches. I'm not super familiar with the terminology, but they're more so like, you know, braces because he's leaning on them like all the time. But they're also machine guns, which is, you know, you may see this, you know, barbaric, violent character design lean into the hyper masculine and go, ooh, ew, yucky. But I see it and I go, that's kind of fucking cool. Absolute green. Is there an absolute Wonder Woman? Can you believe that I am a comic book normie, and to this day I still get DC and Marvel characters mixed up, because to me there is no real difference. It's like, on one hand, it's kind of like getting Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network mixed up, in that, yes, there are stylistic differences that you can, you know, if you just think about it, you can tell, like, oh yeah, of course this is Nickelodeon, because it has this, and tonally it's this. But also, I don't care. I'm bound to make these kinds of mistakes. To me, Spider-Man is DC because I like Spider-Man. Nothing really against Marvel. It's just that when I think of DC, I think of, that's comics. When I think of Marvel, I'm like, that's something else. Comics sometimes, I guess. Alright, that should be good. Now I think it's time to... Oh, actually, before we do the shade and shine, can't forget blush. Love adding a little bit of blush. A little bit of color to my character's cheeks. Can't forget her knee cheeks. Spider-Man hasn't had a good comic in a few years. See, but Spider-Man as the iconic superhero, is he good? Yes. That's my opinion, because sometimes Spider-Man stuff comes out that's cool, like a movie or a video game, and then that's kind of all that matters to me, the normie. You know? was thinking about this, and we're converging a little bit on the Paul is Mary Jane's girlfriend. Oh, boyfriend, I mean. Oh yeah, I think I've heard bits and pieces of that particular Spider-Man storyline. Again, from the outside. But it's something I've been thinking about when it comes to the Digital Circus. And again, this is spoiler-free. If you're looking forward to the latest episode that came out yesterday, I will not spoil anything. This is more so just talking about broader things, which I think is always a fun way to tie my interests and thoughts in a more general discussion, even though you may not be familiar with the specific creators and media that we're talking about. But basically, Gooseworks is a creator who I would say her online presence is really interesting because I don't know, I feel like her origins are almost very Newgroundsy because the kind of absurdist, cartoonish style very much reminds me of a lot of artists that come out of Newgrounds. And I mean that as objectively as possible, but with that does come certain, I would say, PR caveats, in that I think there's a certain kind of creator that goes online and, you know, regardless of their own, you know, denomination or whatever, they have a tendency to be just very shitposty when it comes to what they say, regardless of how popular or famous that they get, you know? You know, they could make a very popular show and suddenly have millions of followers, and they'll still say shit like, you know, dig it in my butt, hashtag Tuesday night, and that's just kind of their brand, you know? And I ultimately respect that. I mean, I don't want to hear about you digging in your butt, but at the very least, there's something nice about people treating Twitter as just where they can say anything they want, like, honestly, because I feel like that's what Twitter used to be a long time ago, and there's something about seeing people just being, like, using it as their own little, you know, joke diary. That's very, like, aw, yeah, do what you want. But there has been a discussion, and I will weigh on my own personal opinions on this soon. But when it comes to the Amazing Digital Circus, Gooseworks is a creator who has answered Q&A type stuff, like on Tumblr, for example. People can ask anonymous messages. So Gooseworks can hop in and be like, hey, Miss Gooseworks, is anyone going to die and explode? And her response may be, or it might be, you'll have to watch the show to find out. Or it can even be, yes, everyone will. This is how seriously you should take my answer, you know? And on one hand, yes, queen, yes. I feel like when you get asked a lot of asinine questions, you should have permission to just kind of go crazy like that. Like that big thread in which people were asking, like, what is this character's sexuality? Can you confirm or deny for me? I feel like Gooseworks was very valid in going, Jax is a pansexual 7-foot-tall woman. Jax is sexually attracted to bowling pins exclusively. And just keep on going. And I feel like when it comes to engaging with fandom with questions like that truly do not matter, I think that if your approach is that, then Godspeed. Because, you know, prioritize your own little giggles over, you know, really stressing out if you've, like, disappointed someone, you know? Because questions like those do not matter as particularly for a show that is focused on a story like this. It would matter more in a show that would, you know, want to tackle stuff like this individual character's sexuality and identity and whatnot, you know. But for a show about being in the digital circus, it's gonna be less relevant. Therefore, it shouldn't be treated as this, like, wow, it's canon, you know? But there has been, I would say, a slight critique levied on her, in that when she is answering some things, or just, like, you know, not even answering, but just, like, saying stuff about the episode coming up, or about the characters or whatever, I've heard some people complain that she will, like, straight up just confirm or deny something that maybe people had hopes for or like wanted to find out for themselves. And I feel like that's interesting because I can't think of any examples off the bat of when she's done that. But I have heard some people complain about that, about like, oh my god, can't, like, just, you know, I mean, on one hand, I don't think you should, for most creators, I don't think it's very nice to just tell them to like shut up, because I think if you created something this big and, you know, everyone's kind of hanging on your word when it comes to stuff, I can sympathize with not having a ton of impulse control because you're put in a lot of, I would say, you're put in an interesting position. On the other hand, people have been saying things like, you know, like, how does Toby Fox do it? Toby Fox basically says very, very little when it comes to things online. I would say when it comes to talking about his particular thoughts and feelings on the characters, aside from like general like my thought process on making this chapter or game or something, he keeps his cards very close to his chest. And he is, funnily enough, more of a show don't tell when it comes to his personal feelings on a character or a dynamic or etc. And that's why the few moments when you see Toby suddenly make a post that's like, here's like an old draft for Deltarune, or like, here are like some old sketches, and, you know, I didn't even have a design for Susie out at this point, but I wanted the idea of her resting her dino head on Chris's, you know, head is like, I find that neat that the fandom just came to that conclusion. I think that's a nice acknowledgement of both that, you know, Toby is watching, he knows things, he sees the patterns, but also, like, you know, this isn't something that spoils anything, it's just part of the development process that's just like, oh, it's nice to hear your thoughts on this, you know? A little behind the scenes without going into anything that would necessitate anything spoilery. Now, we can go into the opposite ends and talk about a certain someone who I feel is much too socially online, but again, that's reheating my dinner, reheating my, you know, my gruel, because I've talked plenty about the Hell show previously, and about a certain someone involved in it, and we don't have to do that again. But my point is that once, like, a creator who gets their start online and therefore knows more than anyone the power of posting something and knowing how much, you know, how much their online presence is as their stuff comes out, I think that's an interesting position to be in, because on one hand, yes, you're absolutely allowed to be a Gooseworks and just shitpost and say things like, I made avocado toast today, and be like, yes, absolutely, kill it, slay. But also, I don't know. I'm not saying that, you know, if you're affected by fandom stuff, then you should just log off because it's as easy as that. I think that's disingenuous to say, but there are some times where I see, I don't know, I almost think that, and this may be a foolish thought, I almost think that once you reach a point in your professional artistic career, even when the most, you know, the most mind-numbing discourse comes up, like, shouldn't you have better things to do? Like, unless the fandom is like, we have collectively agreed that this character is like a sex offender or some shit, and then it would be completely in your right as a creator to step in and be like, holy shit, where did this come from? What the hell? Stop bastardizing my creation. But I don't know. I feel like there's a line in which creators should engage with stuff like that. It's similar to my mentality of, you know, when you get a hate comments, or if you have someone on your post going, man, I hate gay people, they stink, and your art is doo-doo, then yes, you are within your right as a creator to comment back being like, minor spelling mistake, also you got owned, and like you're within your right to do that. I'm just saying that there's a point of, by acknowledging this meaningless thing that loses power the less you pay attention to it. I feel like you're, I don't know. I feel like there's a tricky discussion to have. The Streisand effect of certain what you do and say on social media, because I've always been particularly careful about, even before I, made my own stuff and started thinking about, like, my fandom or whatever. I was always the kind of person who, at the very least, from teenage years onward, I became acutely aware of how much my words could be used against me. If there's anything that growing up on Tumblr really teaches you, it's a sense of social anxiety that exclusively exists in online spaces where you are, where everything you say is documented. And it's that, if you don't make your point as clear as possible, there are going to be detractors willing to spin it against you. So the best thing you should do is try to be as concise and clear as possible. And if you can't do that, then just don't say anything. And I feel like that's worked pretty well for me. And I don't know. It's interesting how for some people that obviously the Toby Fox example, I think, is a good example of someone utilizing great restraint when it comes to social media. And there's a spectrum there of creators who are, just online enough, or perhaps too online. I just feel like when it comes to online spaces, the idea of having an HR department, or even like a PR department, I guess PR would be the more appropriate thing, because HR is against, individual employees, while PR is with the public. But, the idea that because you are now kind of a bigger figure, you should be, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that idea isn't lost on people. The fact that you should be more careful about what you say. Not in like a legal way, but in more of a, people are paying attention to what you say. So you should, I don't know, have some tact? Have some restraint, maybe? I don't know. Maybe that's just my traditional mindset kicking in, because as it happens, despite my very interesting personality, I can assure you that in the foundation there are still some traces of the traditional way that I grew up, in that there's a kind of like, oh yeah, make sure that to have these formalities and have this kind of like demeanor and all that. And again, I try not to impose that on anyone, because that's not ideal. But it's because it's something I grew up with. It's kind of something that both within my family and I would say widely culturally has stuck with me. But yeah, just something I noticed. There's still always going to be those out there who take your words and twist them no matter how concise you are. I mean, yes, that is correct. But also, it's still important to... I think that's something good to keep in mind when it comes to the just sheer inevitability of, like, bad faith people and bad outcomes. But I still think there's also what you should mainly keep in mind is that just you want to be concise, regardless. Even though so much of it you cannot control, I think aiming for that is still a good thing to aim for. Again, I'm not trying to say that, like, people that this kind of shit happens to, like, I'm not trying to victim blame or anything. Obviously, there's only so much control you have over it. Like, believe me, like, I understand. But I still think there's something about professionalism that particularly... I bring this up a lot, and upon self-reflection, this may stem from my, very traditional kind of upbringing. But... I don't know. I think professionalism, restraints, and, knowing when you should speak up and also knowing what you should speak up on and what you should say, I think that's a skill that I would like to see more, just in general. Honestly, not even for creators, just like in public spaces as well. Because I'll see posts in which someone is making a statement that is maybe not something I agree with, but it's clearly like a personal feeling, and so what I get away from it is just like, oh, you feel that way. Okay, well, I'm not gonna assume that you feel in a way that is like evil. I'm just gonna assume that this is just like a little facet of your thoughts. And then I'll see someone quote retweet it and be like, this is the most evil interpretation I could come up with, how could you? And I'm like, well, alright. Well, this isn't helping anyone. But also, the problem generally goes away when I log off of the internet, so there's a solution there. You know? There's a classic, Twitter's the only place where where your sentences will get misinterpreted. I like waffles, so you hate pancakes. Yeah. As old and as over-referenced as that tweet is, I still feel like it does a good job of encapsulating certain methods of discourse people have, in that when it comes to interpreting people, I just feel like, I don't know. I'm that post that's like, people be saying things so definitively. I'm like, man, I just think it depends. I think discussions should be that. They should be discussions, and once it reaches to a point where you can firmly be like, okay, I have a definitive statement to make and a definitive like accusation about what you think and what you make. I think that's the point where you can be like, okay, I know now. I don't know what I'm saying. Also, hello Shiori, hello. Hello. Welcome. Every day of going online is seeing people do things wrong. And then doing things wrong in ways that have been repeated forever, such as misinterpretation or at least willful misinterpretation in some ways. And it only serves to make me angry. And when that happens, all you have to do is log off. That's always an option, I think. If you ever needed a reminder, here you go. Sometimes when the internet makes you mad, you should, rather than making like a think piece on it or like responding to the person who made you mad, sometimes it really does help to just like cool your jets and just put your device away and like take a lap. I'm saying this also to myself, by the way. I'm not saying this as, like, the all-powerful and all-knowing one who has got everything figured out. I'm saying this as someone who is also... who definitely should practice what she is preaching. It's nice how shading can be a texture in and of itself when it comes to these brushy lines. I have an interview for a pet care place today on Monday. Oh, nice! Best of luck, my friend. Pet care? I would hope they do. It's a doggy daycare. I assumed as much. It seems like a very nice place, especially since you are already accustomed to taking care of, like, both pet sitting and dog walking and etc. So, best of luck. I think I remember when I was in my job application journey, pet care was definitely a kind of industry that popped up. So, rooting for you, bud. Oh, maybe I should give her stockings. Wait. She's hitting the Contagon, I fear. I mean, I'm gonna have to redo these lines, but still. Thank you, Shiori. I'd be on the morning shift, which is less than ideal, but I do be needing a source of income. Yeah. I mean, still, I would say don't be afraid of being, picky. Because, oh, I need to do that below the stockings, of course. Because I remember when I was job searching, I got, like, a sort of offer for a place that basically had a night shift situation. So, you know, decent pay, decent travel, but I would be working from like 8 to 6 or whatever. And yes, you know, everything else was fine, and I'm sure I could handle it, but also, you know, at the expense of like my sleep schedule, at the expense of potentially like events I would want to go to, you know? It's a lot of things you have to weigh, and I think that is something you should consider. But of course, you know, having a source of income is very important. And 6 a.m. is not bad. I hope the travel time isn't too bad. Let me actually... I'm gonna texture this so it has kind of a sheer feeling. What would be a good way to do that? Ooh, maybe these stripes. Wait. Wrong layer! Stripes. There we go. I normally don't mix textures because I'm gonna add the other texture after this, but... Nope. I'm trying to get at the reddish look. Like, I think it's maybe that. That might be it. Yeah, that might be it. Like, stockings-wise. There you go. I'm back to working in traditional tonight. Ew! Fun, fun, fun! Sometimes I mean, I don't have like a dedicated sketch pack like I did before, but I do sketch now and then just to feel something, you know? Like, yes, it's not as satisfying as drawing in digital for me because I don't have a meaningful way to color it and make it look nice and impressive, but there still is an element of, you know, looking at the lines and the shapes and the feeling and being like, yeah, this is where it all started. Okay, now I'm going to. Actually, I didn't shade in her outfit here, right here. And then it's kind of shaded in this area. Yeah, all this is shaded in. There we go. There's a little bit of a kind of gradient there. And then let's de-intensify it, like maybe 70. Actually, maybe 650? 60. Yeah, let's go with 60. Yeah, that's good. Sometimes adding the shading helps to zhuzh it up a little bit. And I'm going to do a bang up job of recreating the background. Here we go. If there's anything I'm good at, is it's basically just cherry picking the colors and trying to make the exact same thing. Like, general thing. I have different sketchbooks for different things. Ooh. My sketchbook style was very much just whatever I'm thinking about, put it in the current sketchbook. So it's kind of weirdly organized by year and whatever I was working on at the moment. Decrease squatters with a Z? Damn, too bad they were a bot. That's kind of a sick-ass name. Can you believe that Tomodachi Life is coming out in less than a month? Holy! Who's excited? Me. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I can't wait to put my blowbows in there. I'm so excited. Dun, 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 dun. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Blink, blink, blink. I have one sketchbook that's black and white. I have my everyday sketchbook, my tan paper sketchbook. Oh yeah, if it's for different materials, then definitely. I understand that. Then you would literally need different sketchbooks for that can handle the different materials. I love the little pizzicato there. I wish it could be. So one of the artists I follow is a really good like painterly artist who can draw basically with these big stroke kind of brushes, but they are able to capture like individual human details and stuff really well. And I'm like, damn. What would it take for me to be you? Probably like practicing the fundamentals of art and being really dedicated, like every day. Probably. They all serve a purpose, yes. So, see, here's the big secret about making a background like this, is that yes, it is based off of this, but what sucks about Paint Tool Sai, and you will rarely see me complaining about this application because it is very, very useful. Shout out to the dude who made it. I actually paid for this version as opposed to the previous times I used it, so again, shout out to him. There is no, unlike Clip Studio or other, you know, applications, there is no blur. Actually, is there a Gaussian blur? Hold on. Wait, I'm learning in real time that there is in fact a Gaussian blur effect. You're learning it with me, guys. I was literally just about to say this is the one application that doesn't have this, and it does. I've been living a lie. That's crazy. I was just looking at the filter for color adjustments, and just below that is blur. So fuck me, I guess. I am the clown. I am the fool. I am wrong eternally. But basically, what you can do is when you make backgrounds nice and blurry, you strengthen the focus to the person in front of it. And also, if it's going to be a background that's this, you know, muddled anyway, it doesn't hurt to have it be blurred even more, because it's just gonna, it's not like the details particularly matter anyway. So, to end my sentiment, I'm always wrong. Everything that I've ever believed will only inevitably will be wrong. And shout out to the Paint Tool Sai guy forever, because, he knew to put this shit in. Love that for that. God, this is not a joke. I legitimately was just looking at the little toolbars up here that you can't see. Like, my mouse is, you know, just cut off there. But in filters, blur, there's literally blur, Gaussian blur. That's the only option. I can't believe I missed it this entire time. But we're gonna move on from this. Okay? If we could do that, that'd be great. As a matter of fact. Also just gonna add like a little bit of light. Little shimmering facets always help. Okay, one more thing. Actually, a couple more things. Don't mind me as I correct myself. But of course, so alongside the shade, which is this, and yes, I want to make it that strong. I usually like to add like a little highlight layer, and it's not the sharp triangle highlight layer that you're thinking of. It's actually a very light, textural highlight layer that is basically the opposite of the shade layer. It adds like an additional level of, I want it to have that brush bristly texture, but in the places that are light, as opposed to the places that are dark. So it's generally like less strong as the shade layer, of course, but it's there to kind of add just a little bit of a pop. And if I do shine, yep, that's where it, if I turn it to the utmost top, that's what it'll look like. I'll keep it that way just so I can see where it is. Oh, we can do it for the really shiny bits on the leather, too. Definitely. And the back highlight as well. Woo! That's my phone saying it's 9:45. As we all know, it's 9:45. And also, the reason why Sang has the 9:45 alarm is that she used to take medication at night to help her go to sleep, but because I'm employed now, I have no trouble just like going to sleep, as opposed to when I was very unemployed and I was just like lying in bed not being tired because I didn't do shit the whole day, you know? So it helps. I don't really need the trazodone anymore, but for some reason I've always been fond of having the reminder that it's 9:45. I don't know why. It's like, I'm a very time-blind person outside of, you know, sleep and all that. Just in general. So, just having a little like, oh, it's this time. I honestly would, that isn't a thought that would have crept into my mind otherwise. I think that helps me. If even the tiniest bits. Very much a fan of just setting random timers and being reminded of the passage of time. It's good to have a reminder of time. I know, right? I mean, time blindness isn't necessarily an ADHD thing, but it's definitely something that has, you know, eluded me for a lot of my life. Probably because I've been attached to devices for as long as I can remember. But not in a bad way. I wasn't like an iPad kid. But I've always, you know... What is the tamest way I can say I was affixed to the devices? That doesn't imply that I, you know, would have dinner with my parents with my eyes glued to the phone because I didn't know otherwise. Like, it wasn't that bad. But it definitely wasn't great, you know? I think especially on fabric like this, it's nice to add like a little bit extra. Just because it's a symptom doesn't mean you have the disability. I love it when I say something and Royal makes like the grand statement that you can, like the conclusion you can get from it, and it's like, yes, yes, twin. We are on the same page. So the way the sun would come down is just like right here. So yes, even in the little shadowy areas. I normally don't like shine the face, but I may add like a little bit maybe for the nose area. I think I don't shine the face because it's hard to make a like subtle transition to everything else. For the like the super shiny leather parts, I'm just gonna really just go ham. Okay. And so that'll be, actually let me just really quickly boop 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 boop. You know, a little bit of transition. So then lower that by like 25. So this is what it looks like before. This is what it looks like after. Just like a little bit. It adds a little bit of a tint to it. You know? Yeah. Just the teensiest bit. And now, even though it's completely contradictory style-wise to the soft, realistic shading and lighting that you see, I'm just gonna do what I do best and just have the fucking triangle highlights because I don't know any better. Honestly, I feel like a part of me is waiting for a more skilled artist to look at what the hell I'm doing and be like, you know that shouldn't go together, right? Like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong a little bit. I mean, you know, ultimately, art should be something that feels, like, fun to do, and this is fun to do for me. But I will acknowledge that when it comes to just how stark this is, stylistically, on top of everything, I really just do it because it's fun. There are better ways to execute this. And yet, I persist. It's like a signature. The triangle highlights are a staple though. I know, and I appreciate that. I appreciate it. See, the thing is, when it comes to like these kinds of highlights, like hold on. When your roommate make the food and you were allowed to get some of the food. That's me. Very low-key dinner, but we ball. I put my tablet pen down for 1 second and I've lost it. I felt, it's in my pocket, alright. Like, I felt it in my hands and I felt it leave my hands and now it was gone. It's just a very simple pasta. Pasta with butter and vegetables and some little chili parts. You know how it is. I made you the pasta, but I eat it. I usually do zigzag highlights. Ooh! Wait, Chiori, are you referring to... Just so I can, you know, demonstrate. Is it like... that? The way people do highlights is so interesting to me. Because I know, like, this is a thing that people do, like, very... nowadays, it's like this? I don't even know how they do it. Like, I don't do it myself. But, like, a very, like, loose that. I've seen that around. I think it's cute, but it's not really for me. I would get too bothered by making it look perfect. The nice thing about the triangle sangled shading, I mean highlighting, is that there are no rules when it comes to actual realism. Like when it comes to lighting and shading, there's a sense of, okay, you know, the sun is over here, the light goes here. When it comes to this, all that matters is not the 3D environment, but like seeing what colors and values have already been put down and be like, okay, are there any places that this would benefit in just like adding? And that's it. It's truly a team player when it comes to the things you put on a drawing. I usually try to pick a light source, but I just shade with my heart. Oh, that's so real. That's so real, Shiori. Sometimes shading isn't about logic, it's about the heart. It's about being pure of heart, not full of brain. Is this where the light source would be? No. Does it look cool? Yeah. See, the thing is, the trick to being confident in your art is that you have to appeal to people who are worse than art than you. That way, they won't notice mistakes. They'll just be like, whoa, the lighting is full of swag and the shading is YOLO. And you're like, yeah. And if there are artists who are better than you who will notice that it's not as swag and YOLO, then you just want to be really nice to them so they don't say it too loud. That's the secret. That's why networking is important. Dude, sometimes I'll have the craziest fading thoughts upon waking up from a dream. Because why did I wake up and my first thought was, yeah, there aren't any Dr. Seuss books next to me. I'm in my bed. And that's the only thing I've retained from transition from sleep to wake up. Is that like, oh yeah, no Dr. Seuss books next to me, huh? Like, what the fuck was happening in my dream? I don't remember. All I remember is that little period right there. It's crazy. Maybe I was in a classroom or something. Maybe that was going on. Maybe I had a very kid-core dream. But otherwise, it was just... yeah, nothing else stuck, I mean. Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, it's getting there. Wait, why is this light? Do you guys see that? Why is this... oh, is that the inside pattern? Oh, it's the inside pattern. Oh, I can like put a little bit of something there, just so it has a little bit of something. No, just a little bit, just a little something. When in doubt, to spruce up a detail, just add things. Not too much that it gets distracting, but just things. Just like this much. Alright. Back to the triangles. Okay, we're getting very calm, which I love that. But we're gonna have to pump things up a little bit if we want to stay awake for the rest of the stream. Okay. Right? Because, like, you know, like, vibey playlists are fine, but... Okay, here we go. I think this will help. Alright, turning that down. And we ball. Nope, we're gonna go with that one. I think we are almost there. Actually, no. There are some spots that are actually better not shaded because they take away from the kind of... It really is not explainable in any way but the vibe. In that the way the eye kind of flows, you know, like this is too much. This is too much. Usually I don't shade this strong, or shade and shine this strong, but we can go with it. All right. Oh yeah, get coconut mauled, everyone. Okay, so now what do we do? So I could do this thing where, in order to emphasize the further, you know, like, wow, make sure the light is up here and then really blur it around. So that's just kind of like this, basically. Something like that. I don't know. Basically like that. I mean, it helps, kinda. Sort of. But I want to make it more cohesive. Like this much. I shouldn't be afraid to do these, like, you know, like widescreen things, because it does help the character blend in more with the backgrounds and make it more like an environment. I just think the issue is that sometimes when I do it, I like, again, I overthink it. But I have to look at the top screen every now and then so I can get a different glimpse. I think that'll be good. Alright. That's something, right? Like before it was, let me zoom in. Before it was this, and now it's kinda something, you know, there's a top and a bottom to it. Anyway. So, what I do last is I don't know why I talk like this is the first time you guys have ever seen me draw, but I like to talk through my process. But do that, and then I like to add a little, actually depending on where she's facing, maybe to the left. Like an additional, like maybe, oh, I could do the Gaussian blur thing. Wait, so this is a thing artists do? Hold on. This is the first time I could like actually pull it off. So, listen. Gaussian blur. Oh my god, look! Artists do this! Where they copy the layer and do it behind them and make it kind of blurry. I could do that. Wait, it kind of adds something. Usually I would be like, man, I'm above filters and tricks, but it kind of does something. It kind of does something. Wait, the way I'm like zooming in and out like crazy, it kind of does something though. Hold on, but now it's about striking the perfect balance. How about I usually try to find a nice round number. How about 10? Oh wow. Oh, that's tasty. Is it too blurry though? I don't know. I'm getting in my head. But what I'm gonna do is lower the transparency of this a tiny bit, just so there's a little bit more contrast between that and the background. And then, final touch, those big ass overlays. You know how much I love these overlays. So this warm overlay is generally used to emphasize, I feel like this is like a general habit I have, and that the screens that I use are leaning already more warm colored, so whenever I color warm, it's actually not warm enough. So this overlay, the purpose of this is to really emphasize the browns and all that. This overlay is to emphasize the cooler parts, the purples, as it were. So just like a tiny bit, usually. And then this last one is to make sure it just is nice and bright. That's crazy. How did I do that? I almost- okay, I want to work on that Gaussian blur in the back, actually, because it's kind of messing me up a. Oh, that's weird! I'm so not used to doing that! Oh man, I can't emphasize enough that working with Gaussian blur is like... It's like having a new toy. Okay, so let's go back. I think it's this that I want to... Let's do it to 10, and then 2, and then 4. Yeah, that's good. Because you're cooking, thank you! Da -da 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 -da. So 10 was what I did last time. How about... How about 6? I think that's fitting for Miss Diana. To have it be 6. Oh my god, I need to look at something else and then look back, because staring at the same thing for too long messes up my brain and messes up my definitions of what looks good. So I really have to just like clear my head. Especially since it's at the bottom screen. Okay, I think that looks fine. I believe that looks fine. But just in case. Again, that looks fine. I'm gonna actually color filter this a little bit, hue saturation wise. So it's a little, because it's on the bluer side. I actually want it to be more on the Diana's usual color palette, which is more of a cyan. So you see the difference a little bit. It's a little colder. I want that coldness. Oh my god. Guys, I'm really happy how this turned out. Did I do too much Gaussian blur? Be real with me. Did I do too much? Actually, maybe I can do this. Because, you know, the Gaussian blur is, like, all throughout. Maybe I can do the, like, tilt it, like, a little bit, like, downwards to the left. Like, this much. That way, like, you know, it's more so like a shadow. I think that helps a little bit. Like, instead of doing it, like, equally behind, actually have it be lingering like a shadow a little bit. See? Now it's a little bit like on the lower right. And it's actually following the light source, because the light source would go here. So of course it would go down a little bit to the right. This helps me. This helps me mentally. Yeah, and get it twisted? The easiest way to make your art look impressive is to make things a little blurry in order to trick the human eye to think that there's more than there actually is. Art trick 101. Actually, instead of making it this normal black, maybe I should make it maybe I should color this in and make it all... Ooh, all black. Because the outline is all black when you think about it. Ooh, which one is better? This one has like a glow to it, but this one really does help emphasize the outlines. If you're wondering, yes, this is the reality of being me, the Sang-Sangled artist. I do like the black outlines better, because it ultimately just strengthens the shape as a whole, which I am a sucker for. I could also just lower the transparency. That's a thing I could do as well. Like, I am not bound by the... Okay, 75. While I'm here, there are like little bits and pieces that I just have color sticking out, and the Gaussian blur is helping me realize that. So like here, for example, if we could just shoosh like that. Anywhere else? Where else? Anywhere? Like maybe a little bit there. Honestly, now that I'm here, maybe I could just add a little bit of like a deep blue to her eyes. Like that much. I love working on tan paper and bring out the white colored pencil. Yes! That stuff rules, honestly. Alright, I'm really happy about this. How did I do that? Ain't that the question? Oh, should I keep it? Again, these are the things that haunt me. The little back and forth. I'm gonna compromise and keep it on 94. Little numbers, little math. Alright, but I will give up. We shall make the little signature. Turns out you can do amazing things once you commit to an actual fucking background. Sang. Perpetual drawing person in the void artist. Nothing wrong with that, but it's just like, I feel like I need to draw something in the background to compensate for what's in the foreground. There are some artists who are so talented, they could draw characters in the void forever, and it'll be like, holy shit, they cooked. They don't need to draw anything. For me, I'm like, you could afford to draw a little something. Alright, and then usually I like to make sure it's not too visible. So just like... I could do it here. I could do it like somewhere around here. I could honestly make the feet crop out a little bit, just like how it does here. Yeah, I think that looks good. A little bit of crop out works. Just trying to decide what thickness I want to use for the outline. Yeah. See, the thing is, the original ref works because it's so, like, tall. There's just so much. I feel like I should even... Yeah, that works a little bit. Yeah. Sometimes I try to make it as square as possible because I feel like that turns up well on a lot of platforms, but... Oh, last thing. I need to add that classic sangled texture. The texture makes everything all better. So this is without texture, this is with. Yep, there's a little bit of intensity. I technically do line art before I color, but I always go over it again after I color to make it pop. Yeah, I feel that. There's like a little cleanup, a little finishing touch. All right, so that'll be Miss D, and that'll be saved as Miss D. So now, join me as I find a way to post this. Not like find a way as in like I don't know how to post this, but more so if I post it, I want to make sure it's captioned and presented appropriately, which is the whole thing. So for Chromosynth, what I do is, like, sometimes I feel like people, it's good to tag the post with like hashtag Chromosynth and all that, but because it's, when it comes from my Chromosynth account, I don't have to add that hashtag, which is good because I feel like it does better for numbers. So Diana's little emoji goes here. Uh-huh. What the hell do I caption it? What did this image even come from? I saw it in an image, like, collection of, you know, women in suits, but otherwise, I don't know the context of it. Hold on, let me try to find the original post. I need to go into deep diving into my Twitter bookmarks. Good idea, Royal. God, I bookmarked so many things. Do you want to see, like, what I bookmarked? So, I bookmarked a single reply because I think this reply image is really funny and I wanted to save it now that I'm on a computer. This is the reply image. So now that I'm here, I'm going to save it in my reaction folder, and I'm gonna unbookmark the post. Because I just find this really funny. Anyway. Alright. I'm organizing my bookmarks if you're wondering. Where is it? Gay people. Beautiful people. Fashion. There it is. Classic women's suit style. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a reference. Korean artist daily asset picks resources. Honestly, I'll follow them, but I wonder if sometimes it looks better if the reference is side by side, but this is the only, like, F-Zero song I know, but it goes. Okay, okay. I am scouring my brain for the perfect caption. Okay, I'm posting it. I'm not even thinking about it. Alright. It's been posted. And I'll also post the reference down below. Actually, you know what? I'll post the ref a little later, but I'm gonna go into my main page, go ahead and sorry. I'm seeing Digital Circus stuff, which is the copious of copium, which is fun. Anyway. There we go. And then I'll post it on Tumblr. And I'll post it on a Blue Sky. And that'll be it for what I'll put you guys through. So I applied to Blue Sky Studios in the past. And so instead of Blue Sky, whenever I type in Blue Sky, it automatically goes to Blue Sky Studios, which is a website that no longer exists. So I just get sad. I get annoyed and then sad. They did this to me. I wonder if it looks better. No, it'll be better on its own. Okay. Morozov in a monochromatic large suit jacket. Alright. Should I do the hashtag chromosynth stuff on Blue Sky? Whatever. Don't think about it. So much of my brain is like the overthinking part and the other thinking part going, fuck it, we ball. Which is a good way to survive. I'm not gonna lie. Because if I had just one or the other, I would have died by now. So, you know. Alright, final one, Tumblr. Please have patience. Chromosynth, Diana, Morozov, Sang Arts. If you saw me draw this on stream, hello! Thank you. Love this white woman part. That's what it's all about. Blue Sky Studios. Yeah, that's rough. But yeah, this is definitely a little new. Or I would say a little different. But let's hope, because I've been looking at it for a while, so it's kind of become a blob to me. So I hope to y'all it looks like pretty good. Anyway, so that is Miss D. I'm going to have to put that in the Diana gallery, which is good. It's always nice to draw something that features your character, which gives you an excuse to add it to the little gallery of character art. It's a nice incentive, I'd say. Okay. There weren't any song requests I missed, right? I've been focusing on finishing this, that I understand if I got swept up in the epic highs and lows of art. But I think I'm good. Okay. You know what? What else could I work on? I could work on more Spectre art. Oh, hi Mario Kart DS. Are there any ones that I could like really... Oh! You know what? I could definitely work on these Spectre on this stream. You know why? Because I've technically drawn them before. So let me go ahead and bring them up. Do you have a sketch request in you? Yes. I could probably handle one. I don't mean to like intimidate you, it's just I don't know. It's not like exhausting to do a sketch request. It's about putting yourself in a random state of mind of like, alright, I'm drawing this random thing that I don't have much personal like investment in, which is like not to say that I don't like doing sketch requests. It's just like a certain thing. But anyway. So, what I want to work on is actually something... If I can get to the page so I can use it as a reference... That's why I want to ask. Yeah, much appreciated. I appreciate you asking. If I was like, man, I can't do this, don't ask me to do that, then yeah, that'd be one thing. But I'm not doing too bad, so it's okay. Especially if they're, you know, they're fun and cute looking, then I will have fun drawing them. Okay. So I'm just gonna get a rough sketch of what they look like. Okay, we're gonna have to make this canvas a little bit bigger. No, I don't want to use text. Why did the keyboard pop up? Go away! Okay, there we go. I believe this playlist is repeating. Alright, in that case, Hmm. Upbeat and chill music. That seems kind of contradictory. Hmm. Ace Attorney music for becoming a liar? Alright. Let's go. This is what's up. Mina! Ooh! I will have Discord open for you to submit the reference for that sketch request, Shiori. And I will get to it as soon as I can.
Court is now in session for the trial of Bingus Splingus. I can hear his voice. It's beautiful. I don't sound like that.
I feel like some of us are actually pretty good at impressions of other voices.
Court is now in session for the.
I feel like no.
Court is now in session.
Yeah, it's less. It's not gravelly. It's not rough. It's just kind of deep.
Court is now in session for the trial of Bingus Splingus.
You know how it is. I don't know how Bingus Splingus got himself into this, but hopefully he can get himself out of it. That was pretty good. Thank you! Yeah! If there's anything that I've been slowly like picking up skill-wise when it comes to our playthroughs is not only, you know, feeling out a voice and, you know, understanding the little cadences, but it's also doing that while juggling like multiple voices. Because I feel like it's easy to have like a fun voice to do and keep doing that voice, but I think it's particularly fun and challenging to also be like just seeing the range that you have. And listen, I'm not gonna act like every voice I do is like, whoa, is that really Sang? I could hardly tell that was her. Like no, it's not that good. But it's a skill that I feel like I'm developing the more I use it, and it's fun. And I feel like we're all developing it as well. It's nice. Wouldn't it be crazy if I, like, my first, you know, not professional, but like, my first credited appearance in, like, a project is not as an artist, but as a voice person? That'd be crazy. I feel like that only really happened if... Freak accident. Yes, I've decided. Though to be fair, there are a lot of talented artists and voice actresses and actors. But voices are a bit more like, you know, you need to have it, quote unquote. Well, art is more of a, alright, you seem good, you know. Easier to measure, I'd say. I'm out of the water. This is a crime. Vocal cords are muscles. That is true. That is true. It's also, it's weird, but doing the voice acting has also made me more aware of how my normal voice sounds like. Because I feel like y'all can tell when I'm putting on a voice, you know? And that has, I would say, that has had me observing the line between this is a voice I am doing versus this is just my natural voice. And it's not like in a self-conscious way, it's more so just, oh, interesting, what is this accent, what is this tone that I naturally employ? Like, where does that come from? How does that help me? How does it hurt me? You know, just like little things. I mean, believe me, the exact tone I have at work when I am answering the phone is, hello, this is Sang, how can I help you? Like, very, I would say very traditionally feminine, higher, you know, very much up here because I want to appear very friendly and accommodating. Well, maybe not like that, like accommodating, not like that, it's a little too quirky, but basically I want to make sure my voice is nice and high and soothing and articulate and understandable. I feel like my normal voice is just kind of like, hey, what's up everybody? What's up everybody? My name is Markiplier. Dude, this video fucking killed me because someone put Five Nights at Freddy's ambient sounds along with like random Donkey Kong noises and was like, why does it sound like a Markiplier video? And I'm like, you are doing him so dirty, but also you're not wrong. Because if you just put like wild grunts in a Five Nights at Freddy's setting, it's gonna sound a little bit like Markiplier, even though it's very mean to say so. Actually, let's give it more of a dimension. Kurain. Kurain. I love when Japanese games get very Japanese. Love that for them. It is their right. As someone who knows very little about the upcoming Ace Attorney games, but knows enough that Kurain becomes like a thing, like more of a thing, like, I have no idea what they'll do about that, but I guess as long as like, just give me crumbs of Miss Mia Fey, because I know she's haunting the narrative forevermore, but if she could haunt us just like a little bit more, that'd be great, that'd be wonderful, that'd be great. Maybe I should make them more like 3D looking. That they really like pop out. Actually, maybe not. Oh yeah, you know what's up, you know what the fuck is up, Turnabout Sisters. Oh, this song, like, I know it's like fandom-wide for being the song that makes you want to cry, because it's just, everything that the series stands for. I'm a sucker for it. I still think of Mia and Maya and just the whole Fae tragedy of the original trilogy, and I get in my feelings a little bit. I've seen that non-binary motherfucker around. I think he's from Kurain. Like, it's spelled different. Yeah, it's something. Yeah, Royal, I'm in the same boat as you in that, like, there are some characters that are so major in future games that, like, if you just look at merch, it's gonna just spoil you on, like, what they look like or whatever. And that's inevitable or whatever. But I truly have no idea what they're doing with the whole Kurain thing. All I know is that it takes place in this, like, a whole other country, nation? The nation of Kurain or something. So it's getting into, you know, trilogy stuff. Obviously. And I know that Phoenix is the protagonist of those games, so it's super, like, you know, trilogy oriented. But I don't know much about that otherwise. I don't know what it has to do with anything. But yeah, when I think about the phase, I get very sad. But the good news is that we will be saying Pearl in the future. Pearl. Oh, speaking of voices, what a wonderful character to voice. There's some characters that really grow on me based off of, obviously, you know, how they're written and how lovely they are, but also because I perform as them and I get to throw in little things and have fun. It really just enriches the experience, I think. But the thing is, I've actually genuinely been thinking about how to do the voices in the future, because obviously, you know, there are characters like Maya and Edgeworth, they're basically gonna be the same. I think for Maya, like, cause her regular voice is really up here, and I think maybe when I'm older Maya, I'm gonna lower it just a little bit, so it's a little calmer, but it still has that same upper orientation. That way, I think when I voice Athena is gonna be more so here, kind of in my, cause Emma doesn't have the way that I enunciate things, if that makes sense. Emma's more like, oh hey, that's kind of strange. It's very low key in comparison to others, which I think makes sense to who she is in the future. But with Athena, I think it's gonna be a mix of maybe Emma and Maya. I'll figure it out. But performance bias is real. It's so fucking real. Or as I like to call it, performance nepotism. Because I will, in fact, play favorites fully knowing that it is because of things that are out of the creator's control. But yes. When it comes to Pearl, I know that in the future, she goes from like an itty-bitty, like, 9-year-old to like a 19-year-old. So on one hand, I don't know if I'm gonna do Mr. Nick! Oh, it's me, Widow Poyle! Except I'm old enough to go to college! Hooray! I don't know if I can fully commit to that, but maybe I will sit in my... Either way, it sounds like a baby. Like, could I just do my normal voice, but with like a little ooh? What the heck what does Pearl say? I'm gonna look up without spoilers. How about Ace Attorney? I guess Trials and Tribulations will do. Tribulations Pearl. And so I'm just gonna look up because I don't want to look at I don't want to look at future games, so I'm looking at different things. So, my normal voice is... The instructions told me to gravely roast the poster, but I didn't know what gravely and roast meant. And so, she's 17, gotcha. It's a 7-year. Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So, if that's a normal voice, this... And this is me doing my normal voice, except I'm still shaping my mouth in the way that I did the poor voice. I don't know. Again, it's almost trickier when you're coming back to a character you've voiced before, because there should be a sense of continuity when it comes to how the character sounds. You kind of like it? You do? Really? You like it when I sound like this? I mean, I guess it kind of sounds like, what if I put myself in the Maya register, but I do my mouth like Poyle's? And maybe I go up every now and then to really emphasize what her voice used to sound like as a little baby. Maybe that could be it. That could be it. This is the stuff I agonize over in the meantime between, you know, this and future Ace Attorney games. I love that the baby voice turned into a lisp. Technically, the baby voice is a lisp. It's just like a very, very heavy lisp. Like, regular wisp. I'm going to channel my winnow here, because a regular wisp is basically you twisting the mouth in a way that TH sounds become F sounds, and R's and L's become firm W's. It's a lot of pursing the mouth, and a lot of, you know, it's a lot of like acting that you don't have a lot of teeth, because your teeth haven't grown in yet. The window is. And Poyle is a version of that, but it's super baby because you're really pushing the cheeks in. It's kind of like how I do with Old Bag, honestly. It's funny, the horseshoe of doing an old person voice and a young person voice, because either way you're lacking teeth. So you're going to be really pushing your voice in. So you're pushing the cheeks in, almost covering up the teeth. So yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry if this is really annoying to hear. It's just something I go through mentally. It's just two sides of the same coin, exactly. When you think about it, Wendy Oldbag is Pearl. Think about it. Oh my god, speaking of which, I don't know if Wendy Oldbag comes back. I'm pretty sure she doesn't. I think for the general rule of thumb when it comes to characters coming back for the Apollo Justice trilogy is that they're few and far between. I've actually heard complaints about certain major characters from the original trilogy not making it back. Like, obviously Phoenix, you know, Maya, Pearl, Edgeworth. But I know that, like, for example, Gumshoe and Francisca, I think, are basically relegated to the trilogy. Which makes me wonder, who the fuck is the detective? Oh, wait, it's Emma. Is that it? Is that why Emma's there? I mean, is she a detective? I actually don't know. Again, speculation. But yeah, it's a shame. My boy Gumshoe. Old bag. Whenever I do an old person voice, I feel like I'm pretty good at divvying up the range. But every now and then, I think about doing a little bit of Wendy. There's something very melodic about playing an old person, because you're kind of like, oh, there's like a wail to it. So, you know, it's a performance in its own right. You know? Oh, I miss her. Wendy is also one of those characters that if you do not like have fun with her, it really does feel like torture having her come back over and over and be like, why do the developers like her so much? For us, of course, we had a gay old time because we had fun. But I feel like Like, for example, Safi is not the biggest fan of Larry for good reason. I will say, I am also not the biggest fan of like Larry just like extracted from all this, but I will admit that he is so much fun just to play around with, just as a character, because you can have a lot of different gags with a guy like him, which is why he's around. It's why the writers keep him around, and so I kind of understand why. You need a butt monkey, and it has to be someone who is, I would say, dependably incompetent. And Larry, straight Larry, as it were, is a good candidate for that. I'd rather it be Larry than Gumshoe, not gonna lie, because sometimes they're a little too mean. Like, they flanderize Gumshoe a little too much by making him like really incompetent. But you gotta remember that when he was first introduced, he was like kind of bumbling, but he was very much like a stereotypical, like, you know, like, I'm a little tough. I joke around, but I'm pretty serious when it comes to the job. You know? When you voice an old person, your vocal cords need to give out sometimes. Voicing him looks so fun. Yeah. I feel like, well, I've heard you do like, oh, dude. You know, because I feel like we can split up a lot of voices into different genres, different, you know, categories that can be going into little further in categories. I feel like you voice like, oh, dude, yeah. But Larry, in his most casual, was like, what the hell, dude? Oh my god. Oh, my balls. Anyway, but the furthest I've pushed Larry, and Safi rightfully called this out one stream because she was like, is Larry, are you making him sound more annoying on purpose? And I'm like, I don't think I am. But then I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, I did kind of. Because I haven't voiced him in so long, and him coming back in that case was such a surprise. I just fully leaned into it out of fear and overcompensation. So like, oh my god, it's like really stretching the like cheese grater on the throat. Like, dude, oh, it like hurts to even try it. And obviously, voicing should be a good balance of, you know, pushing yourself and actually having a good performance. But oh, it's from my heart, dude. And I know Larry comes back with I think a decent design from what I've seen. So, happy for him. Yes. But I'm sure that as much as I understand the, oh man, why can't they bring those characters back? Like, I get it, you know, like, these characters are so iconic, and very, you know, the trilogy makes them feel like necessary mainstays, and a lot of the merch will make you think that too. But when you think about it, like, future games should have room for new mainstays, so I kind of get that, you know? Like, the reason why they, like, sort of retired Phoenix for a bit is because they wanted to try out a story with another new character, a main character who has, like, room to grow and room to know, like, not know things, which I think is really fair. But then they went back to Phoenix anyway because they were like, you all love Phoenix. You love Phoenix. Let's get him back. And we do. It's unfortunate, but we do. Okay, I think the back wings actually should be on a little different. Actually, no, the tail should be drawn a little different because I think I made it so the tail was like right below, which makes sense. So it should be like here more than anything. Now I am done for the night. Ooh, good job, Shiori. It's so incredible how much, like in retrospect, how much you can grow to really like love Phoenix as a main character. But when you think about it, you know, he's kind of the opposite to someone like Miles in that you know so little about his backstory, and yet he's a classic case of like, we don't need to know the circumstances of his, you know, the particulars of his upbringing. You just need to know, like, you know, how he got here and, you know, who he's gonna be moving forward. And I think that's it's a good reminder when it comes to characters that I feel like sometimes we get swept up in the details of like, as a kid they had this and their family was this, but when you really think about it, functionally that doesn't need to be the case. Even though we do see little bits and pieces with Phoenix, like he really loved watching that Judge show growing up for some reason. Even for Ryunosuke, we only really know about his uncle? And I feel like we only really know that because he's younger than Phoenix, and so he's kind of like a student. So it goes to show that he's, you know, living with someone or kind of is still a dependent in some way. So it makes sense to have something written down about, you know, his family and living circumstances. With Phoenix, he's just kind of a grown-ass man who can do whatever the hell he wants. So, good for him, I guess. I mean, I could be wrong. I could be completely proven wrong in the games moving forward because they do have Phoenix in them. So. But at the very least for now, I kind of like that Phoenix is very much I mean, he's not passive, but his role is very much, I would say, it's not tied to who he... I don't know. It's kind of refreshing having characters who don't have particularly complex backgrounds or backstories. Because I feel like in certain cases, it almost feels like a crutch or a cop-out for writers to do that. Rather than making them interesting in the now, they give them like, oh wow, that happened to them? And like, that's it? You know? I mean, the third game gave us Feeny, which I think is a deeply welcome addition, but that's kind of the extent. I think that's... I don't know. I'd be curious, but also, like, we don't really need Phoenix lore. I feel like adding more than, like, what could they realistically do in Ace Attorney 7? Like, okay, they could, because of the sheer lack of Phoenix lore, they could honestly be like, you know... Here's a prosecutor who fucking hates you, Phoenix, because they are your long-lost brother in that family that you never talk about, so technically it's not inconsistent with the lore we've already set up, or something, you know? I drink more water now. Good! Drinking water is good for you. Yeah, the way this wing is placed is wigging me out, so I'm gonna replace it. There we go. That's a little better. Yeah, that's definitely better. Oh, actually, it's not a tail. I forgot. This is actually its scarf. I forgot. That's why it has the little this thing on its neck. That's supposed to be the thing connecting it. Haha, Eto. I forget. I call it a tail because it's functionally one, because it just... You only really see it stretched out the back, but... It's not. It's a little accessory. Okay, that's good. So now we crop. There we go. Bean body. My roommate just showed me the Lego project she's been working on. Aww! Nice! Is it like a personal, like, freestyle project, or is it working from, like a model that she bought? Believe me, either are impressive. I've seen how complex those Lego sets can get. And how expensive, too. Jesus. If I've seen a complaint about that, it's the idea that Lego is selling and marketing more towards adults than children. Which is... I would say unfortunate, is the best way I can articulate that. Designing something all on her own? Damn! Okay! Okay. Okay. Now, let's figure out a symbol for this guy. Also a color scheme. Either one. Either one will do. I have a very specific color palette in mind, but I don't know how to execute it. So I'll do my best. All you have to know it has blue, red, and green in it. I don't know how I'll get that done, but I will. I believe in you. Thank you! Much obliged. Actually, maybe I should first pick a kind of butterfly that this is inspired by. Bars. Because, okay. Because there's like a... What I could do is I could make these like black wings, but with that kind of crystalline, nice blue on the inside. Like kind of like those, those emperor butterflies. I think those are very pretty. Let me look up blue butterfly. Maybe I can get some examples from real life. Ooh, a classic. Oh, I'm seeing... Yeah, I'm seeing that classic morpho blue, like emperor butterfly. Yeah, we could do that. Something like that? Maybe? Maybe? And then the body itself is maybe a little more, gray? Oh, I'm gonna have to fill in these parts because it ends up looking a little crusty. Man, I really have to watch both Zootopia 2 and Hoppers. They certainly are the animated movies of all time. Or at least this year. So I should go ahead and get on that. Even though, like, I've glimpsed posts that basically explain the movies and what they do poorly and what they do well in detail, I have still feel like spiritually I've not been spoiled on either of them because I haven't retained anything. I will still go in and be like, what? When plot happens. You can be immune to spoilers if you just don't retain what you read. Works for me. I'm trying to think of so the butterfly I'm looking at is a very, very pretty, nice teal sky blue, but it's also just a very simple palette. I'm seeing some interpretation that's basically just the monarch butterfly but blue, and I feel like that's incorrect. Yes. So I've drawn insect-like specters before. This will not beat me. Oh yeah, didn't I want to add like red into this? Go Tian style and just add a red scarf. Maybe make them yellow. Ooh, I can make them kind of like Sky's palette. That doesn't really fit in with the black all too well. I'm not sure the red fits that either. Maybe a yellow? Maybe just like the totally black body. Kind of hard to see him. In fact, they're just kind of just like a big pair of wings. But I guess they could work like that too. Because when you think of a butterfly, you do not think of its little body. It's more of just the big wings. We can figure out something. Gray body, yellow tail? Maybe. I don't know. Again, I'll figure something out. This is something that takes, it takes a bit, because when it comes to other specters, I feel like I have a very defined creature in mind. When it comes to the billowfly, it's a shape, definitely, but when it comes to the colors, it's a lot less distinct. It needs a little futzing. That's right. But yeah. How about we work on that symbol then? I mean, we don't have a color code per se. I think for the main color, I mainly decided on having like a nice, not like skies like light blue, but kind of like an intense classic. Like, do you know in the 2000s when video games loved putting characters in Frutiger Arrow like islands? Like, I think of that blue. That's the blue I'm trying to give them. Hello, Savvy. Hello. So I'm gonna go for something like that. And I know that sky's symbol is basically just a butterfly. So it's gonna be a matter of, again, for some of these specters, their whole visual motif is basically the same as their user. So we're gonna have to help differentiate it a little bit. Yeah, that's basically, I'm just making skies one again. So something that's more abstract, I think. Something that's like wind. Something like this. Where it's a little asymmetrical. Yeah, something like that. This is meant to be the little eyelashes, by the way, but it also gives a sense of like bug, doesn't it? There's something about like little hairs on a slender thing that makes you think of like a little bit of like a bug. There's something like that, I think. There's something there. He's looking cute so far. Thank you! Thank you! I think if you do away with the attempt at color there, he don't look too bad. The bongos is crazy. Nothing I can make will ever live up to the design genius that is like a Sfeel or a Wooper or a Meryl or a Skitty. But I can get pretty close. That's all I'm aiming for. Anyway, let's get started on that sketch request. I like their little legs. Thank you. I love their little nub arms. Okay. Kangmina. Oh, Kangmina. Okay, okay, the Korean. Okay, I see you writing the Korean. If I could. Sorry to be like annoying, but I'm just gonna say this because I am Korean, so I have the position to say this. When you write Korean letters, it's all very specific where it should go. I feel like with Japanese and Chinese, because there's so many little strokes, it can be hard to keep up with. But with Korean, it's very simple. It's either a symbol in there, or like the symbol slightly pushed up, and then there. It's very basic. It's very like geometric. Oh yeah, sure. I'm not faulting you, but I'm just like letting you know that if you were to write Kang, like specifically the O, you drew the O kind of like over here. You would want to make sure it's kind of more in the over here. It would be that. It would be that. And that's all I'm saying. Sorry to be Korean, but yeah. It can also just be your handwriting too. I'm really freehanding this, by the way, so forgive me if it's a little choppy. I've watched too many videos of like famous mangaka basically freehanding drawings, and so I've gotten it in my head that like I've got to get better at freehanding. This is my competition. Masashi Kishimoto is my competition, as a matter of fact. Sometimes it pisses me off that Horikoshi, author of My Hero Academia, is such a genuinely talented artist. Same with Eiichiro Oda. Again, both very talented artists, but like the content of their work sometimes pisses me off. Okay, so what I'm interpreting is like hair buns kind of up here in a heart shape. That much is clear. Not exactly sure how the hair, but I'll do my best. If you've ever ordered anything from my Etsy store, you'll find a lot of free-handed sketches that look a little like this. On, you know, cardstock, of course. That's where my business cards are. But I feel like the better I get at freehanding, the more confident my lines will be. That's the mentality I'm trying to channel here. Because freehanding, when you think about it, it's very much like muscle memory. And that is, you know, like anything in art, like something you learn. The best part is seeing how people draw our hair, because everyone does differently and they're all correct. Nice. I love that about characters. Or at the very least where people are, you know... When it comes to certain characters, I understand wanting an aspect of them to be, like, exact. I think there's nothing wrong with that, you know? Sometimes you're... It's not about being picky, it's just what you want to execute. But I like it when characters kind of have a vague, kind of abstract element of them that you can expand upon in your own way. This feels like something that appears in a later Ace Attorney game. Also, I hope you don't mind. I always love adding little extra hair tufts to give a little bit of, I would say, a little bit of volume and depth to a hairstyle. I like seeing how people interpret my characters, so I'm not too precious about their designs. I'm not too precious about it. I think that's a wonderful word. I think I don't hear too many people say it like that. I'm not precious about it. I also think they're simple enough to easily replicate. Yeah, I like that. I think that's a good thing about character designs. Obviously, if you have, like, an iconic design, iconic as in, you know, like, memorable because of all the details you put in, that's, like, a nice kind of design. But a design can also be iconic because of how little you put in, which forces people to pay attention to specific parts of it. And in some ways, you know, like, you know, minimalism versus maximalism, you know? I definitely think that a character that is simpler is stronger in design, you know, core than a character who is over-designed, in my opinion. Because there's nothing that bakes my biscuit more than a character who is, like, impossible to draw because they have so much shit in them. I'm looking at you, Overwatch, all the time. And then Overwatch 2's designs are, like, also complex, but also just, like, worse. In some ways, they simplified the Overwatch designs and made them worse. So, like, I'm not happy. I don't get what I want ever. Alright, I'm almost done. Actually, freehanding this was because you have such a simple character with, like, design elements that I have drawn before so I can easily replicate it, like, you know, long flowing hair, like a little school uniform. That really allows me to push things further and not worry too much about accuracy. But yeah, that speaks to something good. I forgot to erase that large of the layer. Whoopsies. It's okay. It's not the end of the world. Can you point and click to the correct element? I know you can do it. Alright, I think that'll be it. I made her look a little more sassy. I hope that's okay. She seems very, like, nice and friendly, but a little sass is good. Yay, Shiri, yay! And she has a lovely kind of orangish pink thing going on, so I think I'll actually go with like a warm pink. That feels like her vibe. That's perfect. She is sassy sometimes. Yeah. I love me a pink themed female character. You can tell I do. I feel like I'll say things and I'm like saying you're just repeating things that everyone knows because look at what you've got. But I try to balance out like certain gender, color, presentation, favoritism by evening it out. Like there's a couple of pink guys in there to balance out the abundance of pink women. So my favoritism isn't too noticeable. But it's there. The same song, remixed. That was pretty good for a freehand. I feel like there was actually weirdly enough, I was so self-conscious at a certain point that like a lot of my drawings were like facing forward like this, you know, anime style, very symmetrical, that I like stopped doing it and I started doing like 3/4, like, wow, the eyeball is here and also here and nose. And then I did that so much, I forgot how to do the front forward facing thing again. Like, art truly is a skill that you need to practice, because otherwise, you risk being chopped, is what I'm trying to say. But it's always a skill you can get back to, which is nice. That's where I am right now. I got back to it. Alright. We color this in. Actually, let's move all this over here for framing, and then there we go. Actually, I would do it for this color. There we go. And then the little finishing touches, the very unnecessary, but a tradition at this point. Alright, Shiori. Here's your food. Enjoy. And thank you for requesting it. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. Sometimes you end up sketching the thing that you need to do a little bit. I'm eating so well. Hehehe. Actually, do I ever color in the pupils? That's a question. Nah, I like it just like the white like this. You're eating so well. Aww. Well, you deserve it. You're always a very good... You get a good grade in being a viewer of my streams. So this is, Mina. Thank you, Safi. Mina for S. Yes. There you go. Oh, ow, my right hand is like a little sore. Ooh. Ooh. I also did have work today, so that may be the leading cause of why I am tired. Oh yeah, we did finish the Diana drawing. I was like, what the hell did we do today? What can I feel? How can I feel good about ending the stream a little early? And it's this. Yeah, the Gaussian blur. Oh my goodness, how did I do that? I'm just combining so many things, but I'm sure if I was a better artist, I could find even more ways to add things in the background and make it flow compositionally. But because I'm not, we take what we can get, which I think is still pretty good. Just pepper in a little bit of critical self-loathing in with the healthy self-criticism. A little bit. But yeah. Yeah. I'm happy. I like how it came out. You cooked. Thank you! Thank you, thank you. Very kind. I'm happy I can finally put a rest to this because, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes when you have like a sketch just like chilling, not a sketch, but like a work in progress just chilling in the background, it kind of just lingers. Like, if I let it rest for too long, my art style / skill / interest is going to differ and wane, and I won't have a chance to get back to it unless I just, you know, basically do it from scratch. I'm not saying that I felt like a pressure, but there is a kind of, like, there's only so long I can wait to get back to this. Otherwise, it'll just be in work in progress hell. So, I'm glad I got back to it. I'm glad I figured out that Paint Tool side does in fact have a Gaussian blur live on stream. And yeah, good stream everyone. Thank you for coming. I will be retiring a little bit earlier this time around. We're just almost at 4 hours today, but I only do so because I'm a little tired, and I'm gonna rest a little bit because I also have work tomorrow too. And it's fine. It's not gonna be the worst, but it's just some work and then coming home and another stream. So I'm gonna make sure to rest up. Rest up. Yo, this artist. Hold on. They are drawing a big dragon. Do you see this big dragon they are drawing? As well as this, just all this going on? Do you see this whole layout? Holy. So this is 18 plus, just letting you know. I think most people here are 18 plus, but you know, just in case. They only have 1 viewer. So, since they're drawing a cool dragon, let's definitely give them a little bit of a Sangang raid. Kira 8th still. Yes. 1 for the rich and 1 for the poor. So tomorrow may be our final Professor Layton stream, which is interesting to think about because it's giving finale vibes. And if there's anything that's going to prevent us from finishing it, it's just the sheer just length of content we have to go through story-wise, like testimonies and all that. And obviously there's going to be epilogue-y stuff, but I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, I want it all contained within a stream, so it doesn't feel too drawn out. But that's like a personal thing. Anyway, give this person my love. Imagine, if you will, a dragon. Night, everybody. See y'all tomorrow for Ace Attorney and Layton.